You know, we have to cut that saga. Ironically, though, we did talk about London and thing. And on the line, we have a call from London. Blessed?
Greetings. This is Esther Stanford-Xosei.
Yeah, you know, so we are talking about how we get whole heap of music from England. And now we hear you on the line. That's sweet vibes. Sweet. All right, I know you've been trying to get us from last week. We have been trying to get, well, the brethren called me from last week. I don't know what happened with that, but that's how it got still. Anyway, we're not going to help on that. But we did speak about the march. This is the second march on Downing Street, right?
That's right, yes.
And we spoke about it last year on this program. And this year again, it was spoken about by Mandingo. Mandingo called us a couple of weeks ago and told us about what is happening. But now, you are our next person now who was involved in the march. That's correct. All right, so you have to tell me now, first of all, what is it that is happening where you have one set in the park and one marching when the two of them should be coming together? That is what we hear. Explain that to me.
Okay, I mean, very important question, and I'm sure some people are confused. Last year, the march was organised under the leadership of the Rastafari Movement UK and many other African community organisations, including, the Interim National African People's Parliament, the Nation of Islam, Global African Congress, and those Rastafari houses that are not part of Rastafari Movement UK. This year we've had a different configuration of leadership simply because the Rastafari Movement UK decided that they would not march this year, but rather they would hold a rally in Kennington Park.
All right, now, why they wouldn't march this year? Because they did it last year already, and what was the reason behind that marching?
To be quite honest, because I'm not a member of the Rastafari Movement UK, I'm not able to say conclusively what their reasons were. They didn't really give a good reason in the view of many members of the African heritage, public in Britain. And considering that it's a people's march, the people themselves decided that they would march again this year, as was agreed last year, that it would be an annual march and an annual holding in of the petition. So these are the things that sometimes happen. And what we do know is that the Rastafari Movement UK is, it's actually dominated by one particular house, in particular those who are members of the Ethiopian World Federation. And so there were other houses of Rastafari that decided to stay aligned with the will and intent of the people, and in particular Bob Ashanti Order and many other Rastafari orders, as well as those who are perhaps not organised. And our people marched again this year, irrespective of what those who were spearheading the march last year chose to do. And I think that's what we need to focus on, the fact that our people were consistent. It was their march. There was a meeting this year in April where members of the Rastafari Movement UK turned up with leaflets already indicating that they were going to hold a rally in the park. This was a decision that they made amongst themselves as an organisation, but it wasn't one that was, supported by the wider African heritage public who continued to march, and we have continued to champion the We Charge Genocide Ecocide petition simply because the goals of that petition are not yet met.
All right. All right. So when they reached, what happened when they reached Downing Street this time? Because you say that the petition was not met. So you send a next petition again and all that?
Yeah, what we did is that we continued the petition. See, unfortunately, when we come together sometimes and work in partnership, if there isn't a recognition of the history of particular initiatives, then we can get things wrong. The Stop the Manganese, as it's now called, We Charge Genocide Ecocide on change.org, actually began in Britain in 2004. And it was something that I co-drafted and, took into various organisations, including the last organisation that we were part of, the International African People's Parliament, who developed a joint petition with the Rastafari Movement UK. So when the Rastafari Movement UK decided they would no longer continue with the petition because they had other ideas around whatever the legal strategy they were choosing, we continued to actually take that petition to the people. One of the key goals of the petition is for the British government to establish an all-party parliamentary commission of inquiry for truth and reparatory justice. And so that goal has not been met. We have not got 100,000 signatures, which is the minimum that is required in order to even have this matter debated in Parliament.
So, wait. Oh, you collect those, what? For not have 100,000 signature in England, it's kind of mind-boggling. Oh, you go about collecting these signatures? Why you do have 100,000 signatures?
Yeah, sure. I mean, what we've been doing, we have petition advocates who are championing the petition. What we have had, though, is some confusion from last year, which has had an impact on the signatures being collected this year. And what that confusion is that it was put out by members of the Rastafari Movement UK that 65,000 signatures were collected. Now, this is a figure that cannot be verified simply because they did not take copies of whatever signatures were collected. And last year I was actually assisting or accompanying the sister from the Rastafari Movement UK who handed in the petitions. And it's quite clear from what she's handing in, there's no way that could be 65,000 signatures. And so what we've had to do this year, as well as trying to keep our people's motivation up when they felt, well, there's a split and what does this mean, we've also had to counter a lot of negative propaganda around what the petition is about and its purpose. And we've had to counter, if you like, some members of the public losing confidence and trust in the process simply because they have not been given proper information around the importance of the petition. So we've had to rescue it, as it were. Now, I'm personally, as somebody who has been involved with the petition from its inception, have had to also be part of, wider dispelling myths and misinformation that has been put out there about the petition. Now, if it were the case that 65,000 signatures had been reached, to me, it would make no sense to stop the petition when all it would require is another 35,000 signatures to have the matter debated in Parliament. Rather than continue with the petition, however, what we have seen is an attempt to undermine the petition and actually say that it's not worth doing.
So who you think is undermining the petition? Well, something that's important. Is it an internal squabble that is happening? I mean, it is mind-boggling to hear that somebody is undermining the petition when it is something in the interest of the African people.
Well,
so, when you say it's undermining, who undermining it?
When I can say undermining, I mean by putting out negative information about the petition. And I can be very clear on that, and I'm being very clear with my language as well, simply because this whole issue, there has been various threats, if I can put it that way, in terms of suing people for talking this truth and telling, the truth about what has happened. So I'm not afraid of that, but I'm just letting people be aware that this is where it has gone in the UK. And so anything that we do say, we have to ensure that it is backed up by evidence. So this undermining of the petition and actually putting it down and saying that it is not something, in fact, is from a sister in the Rastafari Movement UK. I have to be very specific. And she is the person who has been dealing with their legal strategies. But obviously, she speaks on behalf of the Rastafari Movement UK. And the last time I encountered this sister on a community radio station when she phoned in, I made it very clear that they were entitled to take up whatever strategies they felt best as an organisation, but they were not entitled to decide for the wider African public, including Rastafari in Britain, who were supporting that petition. And so what we have had to do to actually take the moral high ground and to keep our people trusting in the process is not to engage in public squabbles around this issue, but to just keep championing the petition and to move forward so that we can regain any lost trust or faith that there may be in this process, which is a protracted struggle and is going to require ethical, principled leadership in order to steward this process.
All right. What we reach here so now. So what is the next move now, considering all of that?
We handed in. A delegation of us handed in the petition. What was beautiful about the delegation this year is that it was a 6-member delegation, so it wasn't one person, and it was a 6-member delegation that was quite diverse, including men, women, and elders, and also a young child, to show this intergenerational struggle and the fact that reparations is a matter for all of our people, of whatever description or label they may go by.
Okay.
And we did get an initial response from 10 Downing Street, which was a letter of acknowledgement. This letter is being circulated because we believe it's important to have transparency and not wait for months to share correspondence. And it basically acknowledges the petition, but points out that the Foreign and Commonwealth Office is best placed to respond to the matters raised. And so it is being forwarded there, and so we are awaiting the response from the Foreign and Commonwealth Office.
All right. So,
however...
Speak, however.
Yeah, however, when I say we are awaiting, we're not sitting back with our hands folded. The work to build a movement around reparations continues, regardless of whatever response the British government comes with. We have a big task to continue to educate, sensitize, conscientize, and mobilize our people and all people of good conscience in support of our cause of reparatory justice. This year we made significant improvements on the march last year. What we were able to do is to show that the march is not the preserve of one organization. We were able to show that the people stand principled and committed to actually be their own liberators, and they know what's best for themselves. We also got 9 African countries on board who engaged in different protest actions in concert with us on the 1st of August, or Mosiah, as some people might know it as. We had representatives of African continental reparation struggles represented on the march, including the national chairman of the Economic Freedom Fighters Party from South Africa, or Azania, the party of Julius Malema, which is one of the fastest growing political parties in the world, championing land reform and nationalization of industries, which is a reparatory justice struggle.
Let me ask you a question now, you see? If the signatures is supposed to bring forth a recognition of this in the parliament, which obviously it sounds like that is not there again. And if they don't answer, if they don't answer again the second year, you don't get any good. What is the next move?
Okay, well, they are going to have to answer, but them answering is also determined by how we are able to mobilize our community. There is that saying that power concedes nothing without a demand, and that's why we are prioritizing movement building. This is not about one organization or one leader. This is about all of our people, or as many of our people, wherever they are, whatever organization, those who are unorganized, and in particular our youth, standing up for this cause and pressurizing the government locally and nationally to actually listen to this cause.
Yeah.
And so that's what we are focusing on, building people power. We are also engaging with mainstream British politicians who are saying they are in support of reparations. Somebody called George Galloway MP, who is standing as a candidate for the Mayor of London. He is on record as saying that he is in support of reparations. The contest in the British Labour Party for leader, including Jeremy Corbyn and others, they are also on record as supporting reparations. And so even though this is being led by African people, we are part of a wider society. And we have to be able to influence the hearts and minds of those who take political office, to be able to listen to the voices of their African constituencies who are also taxpayers in Britain. And that is part of our strategy.
Okay.
We also have some support amongst politicians for this Commission of Inquiry. And so the process of getting a Commission of Inquiry is about building power from the grassroots, where it becomes impossible to ignore us.
Okay.
That work continues.
All right. Well, as you say, we're looking at it and we're seeing how it works out, and we hope that next year we have some better arguments and some better reasoning to give the people them, But we have to move now with the clock. We don't want the advertisement cut into your life and cutting into the reasoning.
Okay.
So we want to say give thanks for the call, give thanks for the update, and it was very comprehensive, I must say. Where are you from, by the way?
I'm originally from Africa, as most of us are.
No, brother, come with that, Nobody come with that. Where you come with that?
Okay, I'm born in Britain, but my parents were born in 2 different Caribbean countries, Guyana and Barbados.
All right, that's what I asked. You don't have to go and say that.
Well, to me, these borders mean nothing. That's part of the struggle for reparations. We have to get back to seeing ourselves as one nation, one global nation, if we are to really have the power to enforce our will around reparatory justice.
All right, give thanks, sister. Give thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, the sister was very comprehensive with her reasoning. That was wonderful, by the way. So comprehensive in the reasoning.